We are getting started right now.
Join Tim and Kristina Madden, co-founders of Executive Career Upgrades, on their podcast, the Executive Career Upgrades Podcast. As an executive in today's highly competitive job market, it can be tough to succeed. However, with Tim's nationally recognized career advice and Kristina's mindset expertise, you can reach your full potential. Tune in to upgrade your career and get ahead of the competition.
Sneak peek.
Welcome to the Executive Career Upgrade Podcast. Hey, we are Tim and Kristina Madden. We help you, get the job. We help you be successful at the job. And more importantly, hey, just continue to level up in corporate America. This year already, Kristina, I'm already going right into it right now. We are at, Kristina, if you didn't know, I don't know if you know this, we have had 285 high-level interviews completed that we know of with our clients.
Tim, nobody's hiring. Yeah. Nobody will call me back. I'm not, qualified.
You need help. Hey, we've had 21 offers come in, and we currently have 17 pending offers as well. So, hey, what's the word I'm looking for? Contrary to the popular belief of people, hey, corporate America is still hiring people. So don't let the media fool you, right? Saying so many people are being let go. While that may be true, there's so many people that are hiring free. We're hiring for a couple of positions as well. Hey, we go live each week inside the Executive Career Network, 13,000 of us right now. So, hey, if you are looking to upgrade your career, definitely check us out over on Facebook. We would love to have you. There is 13,000 people who can hire you potentially, right, inside our community. So we would love to extend an offer to you. If you're watching the ECN, let me know in the comments. I will be monitoring them. And to our friends over on LinkedIn and YouTube, I'm monitoring those comments as well.
Instagram.
Yes.
If you guys are a fan of Instagram, by the way, this is a super easy way for you to tune into the podcast. It's at the Kristina Madden. I'll go live on there every Wednesday. With a K. I'll be live on there every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, but also you get to take a peek into Tim and I's daily lives, our daily habits, how we win at life. And believe it or not, I always have the ladies asking me, Kristina, what do I wear on my interviews? And where are you getting your clothes? You guys would not even believe the amount of DMs I get about that. So I drop all that information on my Instagram. So now I'm going to head on over there.
Hey, do us a favor. If you get any value today, I know you will. Hey, leave us a review over on Apple and Spotify. If you didn't know, as we kicked off this year's goals that we have, right? And we accomplish a lot of goals if you follow us on social media. We have a whiteboard that's like 12 feet by 5 feet. And it was completely full of stuff. Hey, we are adding in this year. We want to be a top podcast on all things career. We would love your support on that. And before we get started, hey, go on over. If you need help in your career, right, in any facet, getting to the job, being more successful at the job, go on over to execupgrades.com/podcast. Or if you're looking for some free and paid resources, you can go to execupgrades.com/resources. We have guides on mindset, communication, being a better leader, how to get your resume straight, we have a guide for everything that you need.
Did you say network?
That's what I'm saying. Everything that you need. There's over 30 guides on there, I think.
We have everything
we put together. We do.
And be sure to, I don't know if Tim already said this or not, but if you have questions, be sure to drop them in the chat. Did you say that? So we can tackle your questions specifically and get you the information that you need today.
This is what holds everyone back. It's not everything that holds people back, but it's one of the biggest things. But first, you have some announcements, and then we're going to get started, right? Is that how we're going to do it?
Yes. And to Tim's point about this big whiteboard and doing our year-end review from 2023, guess what, guys? It's not too late for you to do that. I highly encourage you to reflect. And if you're like, man, I want to leave 23 and 23, I totally heard that. At least do a little reflection of the last few weeks and write down everything that you've done, small and big, anything that you can be proud of, because sometimes you need that simple reminder of you are amazing. And so for us, we were just sitting on the couch one night. We were like talking about this stuff. Then we were like, holy moly, we've done a lot of stuff. And then we were like, we need to write all this stuff down, because then it allowed us to set our new goals based on what we know is possible. And it really helps you stretch, beyond what you thought maybe you could do. So it's not too late to do that. Write down the things that you're proud of. And so as far as my announcements, did you want to add to that?
No, I do want to, we're going off on a couple of things. So I want to go off on another little small tangent of the goal thing, because I was just I didn't talk about that. I have some more leadership tactics and strategies for you coming up. So I was at a leadership basically conference this last week, and my mentor was there. Good old Brandon Dawson, right?
You lucked out on that one. He taught the whole thing.
Yeah. And then it was nice because I was able to share some of my goals with him. And it feels good, right? It feels good not only for yourself that you accomplish things for your self-confidence and your self-worth, but it's good to share them with other people that want to see you win as well. Man, there's so many things in life. Everything's common sense, but when you add up all the 1,000 things, it makes life a lot easier. But hey, that's it. That's a different podcast.
Well, and if we just go year over year and we don't celebrate and then set bigger goals, you're ultimately going to end up with a pretty sad life. Mm-hmm. Jesse Itzler was talking recently about how he did like his lifelong dream, which was ride his bike cross country with some buddies. And, he had a good point. He's like, there's nobody out there in their 70s. It's like, we do have a limited amount of time to do certain things. So whatever those things are, put them on the calendar and plan. Do you hear? Oh gosh, I thought a siren, a police officer was coming in the building or something. Okay. On the topic of planning, one of my very, very, very exciting announcements is that I launched a day planner. This was something that I've been wanting to do for like 10 years. If you ask like relatives from years ago, friends, I was always talking about, I'm going to do a day planner, but guess why it never got done? Procrastination, folks, which we're going to talk about today. So this is called the Success Unveiled Day Planner. It is for the fearless executive, but also it's for anybody. I have a bundle. You guys probably recognize it. My book, The Fearless Executive, and it goes right along with that. And what I love most about this, I won't spend too much time. I've also gotten some feedback about these two specific things about it, is that it's not date specific. So if you have to skip a couple of days or whatever, you come back to it. You don't actually have to waste.
I know there's some people viewing. Maybe if I put it a little closer. There we go.
We go,
LinkedIn. So as you see, it breaks down. I couldn't see it when you were holding back there. It breaks down your day. Kristina, top 3 priorities. What inspired me today? What am I avoiding? I know you love that one. Daily wins. And what's the bottom one say?
Write your goals
down. So I love the one that what am I avoiding? Because that one's perfect.
You know who inspired that? Grant Cardone with his planner years ago. He would avoid things like the dentist, let's say. I think that was one of them. And then you can plan out your day hour by hour. And so you're probably doing this on a Google Calendar or a notebook anyway. So, but this is a nice, just fancy thing that I know at least many ladies get excited about. And it has a nice hard copy. I apologize in advance for the slow shipping. I guess Amazon ships a little slower with hard copy products. But I'm excited for you guys to get that in your hands. Don't overthink it. I did a video on my Instagram yesterday about this. This goes right in alignment with procrastination. That's why I'm so excited. One of the reasons people don't use their day planners effectively is because they simply don't put pen to paper. So, in the section for write goals, for example, I wrote one big one yesterday. There was like 2 to 3 words in each section of that, but it got me feeling really good and I got a lot of stuff done. And then I didn't use all the hours, but I used some of the hours. So it's a practice. There's no perfection with this.
And then Catherine on LinkedIn said that she was just doing a reflection of 2023 this morning. And she said, thanks for making me feel I'm not too behind. It's never, you want to talk about this for a sec? So it's on the screen right here. She said she was doing some reflection. Thanks for making me feel she's not too far behind. Cause you were like, hey, like it's not too late if you didn't get a head start on your goals.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? Cause I think people feel bad, right? It's like, I didn't do my goals at the beginning of the year. So
it's never.
Do I have to wait till like 2025?
Here's the good news. Here's the good news. It's never too late. Yep. Never, ever. Every single day, it's never too late. This is life. Like we're living in it. I mean, there is a finish line, guys. We do have an end, but there, like, it's never too late. But what I read between the lines there is you sound like you're somebody who's maybe beating yourself up a little bit, and really, really, really high achievers always feel behind. So, and I'm sorry if I'm totally off on this, and you can drop in the comments if I'm right or wrong, or if this is hitting home for you. But when you say, like, thanks for making me feel like I'm not too behind, the good news is you feel like you're behind, because that's what high achievers do. They do a lot of stuff and they still feel behind.
It's one of my favorite quotes of all time, the Georgia Tech. I've shared this with you before, but it's, hey, lazy people, right, do a little work and they wonder why they're not winning. And winners work as hard as they can all of the dang time, right, and still wonder if they're being lazy. So welcome to the Curse Club. We are there with you. I call it the Success Club.
I'm excited for you.
Kristina, I want to transition now and get us on today's episode 117, Procrastination and Stress, Navigating the Connections. And I just have a couple things I'd like to kick us off with, if that's okay.
Well, how many times have I said this today? Spoiler alert about procrastination and stress. Yeah, we're going to talk about, like, the vicious cycle that is. However, I'm really getting into, like, my TV personality here lately. I'm, like, big with the voice, probably driving some of you crazy, but procrastination causes the stress.
Yep. But first, before we go there, I want to talk about what it is, which is important, right? A lot of people are saying they're procrastinators. We kind of all know what it means. But again, our mentors even say, look up words. Words have meanings. Procrastination's experts, not the dictionary. This is experts, right? Define procrastination as a self-defeating behavior pattern. Okay. So procrastination, are you ready? It's a self-defeating behavior pattern marked by, are you ready? Are you ready for this? Short-term benefits. Short-term benefits, like, I don't need to do it right now. Are you ready? And long-term costs. Oh, man.
Wow, guys.
That's a good one, right? One more time real quick. As a self-defeating behavior marked by short-term benefits, but long-term costs. Oh, man, you read that and you need to be like, I need to stop doing that.
Guys, I really recommend getting into the habit of looking up definitions, because it's so fascinating. It's so fascinating.
I know, I'm going to interrupt you.
Because some people don't think it's self-defeating.
I love patience, because I just looked up the word recently, right? And literally, say you don't have patience. Say you want something, but you don't have patience, right? The definition of patience is literally thinking about anything but that thing. So if you're not thinking about that thing, right, and you're not, like, fixating on it, guess what? Can you guess? You have patience.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's about the 50th time I've heard that since you discovered that definition.
That's the truth.
So I have a lot of patience. But looking up the definitions, it's always really fascinating. Self-defeating. So drop this in the chat if you're one of these people. I know people and hear it all the time. I think I actually have one in the building. Chelsea is one. She told me.
What?
Because she's finishing her master's degree, and there's a lot of papers involved, and she'll put it off, and then feels like that served her in some way, that she just works super well under pressure and wants to just put it off till the very end. And but people do that.
Me too.
Okay.
I'm one of them.
But, like,
when I was in college.
Is it really self-serving, though? Because the definition says self-defeating.
No, I'm glad you said this. Oh, I'm so glad, because I got something else to share with you, which was not in the notes. This is a secret. Are you ready? People who procrastinate, can you believe this? People who procrastinate tend to have high levels of anxiety.
Ooh.
Who would have thought? And are you ready? They also have poor impulse control.
Because guess what? They want those short-term benefits. I'm one of these guys, by the way, shamelessly here to tell you I struggle with procrastination. I have a high level of anxiety.
I can confidently say there are some things Tim Madden still procrastinates against, but I will tell you one thing. Anything that's important to me, non-negotiable. There are just certain things that I do not care. I do not care how I feel. I do not care about the emotion. I do not care how early it is, how late it is. Things that I have to complete, that are important to me, hey, I always make sure they're done. I have got pretty good at kind of figuring that out. Don't worry, it only took me like 25 years. So, yeah.
I was watching, not to keep referencing all of these people, but they really helped me a lot. But Mel Robbins, and she said, people always ask her, why are you so hard on yourself? Why do you make yourself do so much every day? And she's like, because it's me against the old me. And the only thing that keeps her winning the battle between her and the old her, and the old her was high anxiety, procrastinator, doubter, insecurities. The only thing that helps her win that battle between her and the old her is massive action. She was talking about this, while on a treadmill. So again, just taking action really does relieve the anxiety that procrastination brings. And you have to be willing to take steps with, knowing that it's not going to be perfect.
Because I do know we had talked about this. For anyone who didn't listen to our New Year's podcast, I'm going to go over it
Go
again.
back and listen to that.
It's, how to get rid of procrastination, which of course leads to stress, is it's actually 3 things that are pretty simple. Okay. So number 1, you have to know why you want it. So think about what you're procrastinating on. Like, why is this important? Okay. Number 2, you have to break down into some steps how to do it. And number 3, you need to put a time limit on it. If you do those things, you will not struggle with procrastination. But so many people, it's like, I got to get this done. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. They're like, their brain can't process these 3 easy steps.
So Tim, being somebody who I perceive to not struggle with, I saw your comment back. I'm sorry, I want to use that person's name.
Yeah.
Catherine, thank you. Perfectionism, right? So Tim doesn't seem to, in my opinion, struggle too much with perfectionism. He's somebody who's willing to take massive action, just already knowing it's not going to be perfect or whatever, where I get completely held up unless I have oh my God, the stars have to completely align. I have to be perfect. And it really is, it is true. And while I've overcome a lot of that in the last handful of years, Tim, what are your thoughts on how to overcome perfectionism? Because I don't feel like you struggle much with that.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact words, but I believe my mentor told me something like...
He definitely sold you something.
when he was talking about perfectionism, he said, that's an excuse for not getting stuff done.
It's an excuse
for not getting something done. Right? Because he basically said, and we all know this, right? It's never going to be perfect. Version 1, think about this. Okay, maybe this will help you, because he kind of walked me through this. And when we started the software company, it was the same thing. Version 1, okay? Version 1 is not perfect. It does not look perfect. The book has errors in it. The software system, the UI, the UX is not put together perfectly.
My IT guys out there, is this true? You have to move forward with a crappy version 1?
When you look at version 1 of Instagram, Facebook, when you look at version 1 of our software, I was like, Matt, this looks like we put it together in the 90s, man. What's going on? But here's the thing, which is why I want to do that book this year. And I've already kind of started thinking about what I want to put in it. It's start then optimize. Because I feel like so many people are trying to optimize forever, and they're just thinking that they don't actually take the first step to get started. And I think people really struggle with, you have to start. You have to, start writing the book to make the book better. You can't make the book better without starting the book. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that this is such a difficult topic for most people. People are in that loop of not taking any steps, not writing the book. I just said this when I was online yesterday. I was showing the Google Doc I created with all the speakers I want to invite to our first event, and what kind of swag would I put in the bag and whatever. And I was talking about everything I've ever actually done that was great, just started on a Google Doc with some notes. So same thing with a book or whatever Tim is talking about. But I don't think I know for me, you don't even realize you're in it. you know, you don't even realize you're in the procrastination. You don't even realize you're
Correct.
not taking the steps. So it's like, what's the red flag? Like, what's the alert? Like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, why am I not doing anything?
Number one, we've thought about it a couple times hypothetically, right? So if you think about it a couple times, right, I would say number one, hey, why do you want to do this? Number two, break it down. Number three, put a time limit on it. Guess what? You're not procrastinating. So many people think about this. When you don't have a time limit on losing weight, when you don't have a time limit on goals, when you don't have a time limit on saving for a house, when you don't have these things in place, you will always procrastinate.
So what about for the people who are listening that are in a job search, or actually scrap that. You have a job. And I know a lot of you have jobs that you hate. Okay. I'm just going to say it. Like, you hate it, but you're staying there because you're just putting it off. Okay. The job search is going to be too hard. Nobody's hiring.
You're comfortable.
I'm
you
safe.
Make good money, you know.
I'm safe. I'm comfortable and whatever, but I hate it here. What would be the first step to get out of that procrastination? Because you guys might have been
ready?
there for like years.
It's the same thing. Are you ready?
Why?
Number one, why do you want a new job? Because here's the thing. If the benefits don't outweigh staying, then stay. The problem is when they do outweigh staying, immediately, number two, develop a plan. Number three, and put a time on it, and then get to work. But I think what happens is this. What you said something really good. I want to come back, and then we got a couple things that I want to answer, or we'll get your opinion on. But the first one was, you said people aren't even aware they're procrastinating. Ugh, I know what you mean, and here's why. They have all these frequent negative thoughts, man, swirling around their head. So I just want to share, I shared this with Kristina, but I was at an event recently. If you're one of those people that are in your own head recently, here's one thing that can help. Because my mentor said something very powerful to me last weekend, and he kind of choked himself up a little bit. And he was kind of said, if you're dealing with one of these points in your life right now where you're procrastinating about anything, you're not getting what you want out of your life, you're kind of not treating yourself really good with the thoughts that you're having. Hey guys, do me a favor. Grab a book on some positive thinking, put it in your ear every day, because here's what's happening. Maybe the problem is you are the one talking to yourself, right? You're the one talking to yourself. And maybe could it be that we need someone else talking to you in your ear, right? Because here's what happens. When you have all these negative thoughts, you're right. It's impossible not to procrastinate because you say things like this. Who's going to hire me? I'm too old. I don't have my MBA. Hey, in the tech sector, they just laid off 200 people, and we can stack it and stack it and stack it. And then you're like, I'm not even procrastinating. Like, I don't even want to get started, right? Hey, let's go to the audience. Sometimes I get in my own head from Anthony. Sometimes I get in my own way more than anything else, procrastinating sometimes, which generates my stress. I agree. What I need to do is take a step back, regroup, and planning makes me get back on track. Absolutely, Anthony. Just want to add one thing. Number one, always start before we get into planning. Always say, hey, why do I want this, right? Like, why is this important to me? How is this going to help me further my life, my money, my relationship, or whatever? Always start there, because the purpose, that's the main reason you're doing it anyway, right? And some people just lose track of purpose so simply, right, that they immediately go into planning mode. And it's like, if you don't have a purpose, why do it? Just like a company, right? If you don't have a mission on what you're trying to achieve, why are we planning something?
And under all of this that we're talking about, there's a lot of thoughts around like, I'm unworthy, I'm not worth it, I'm not good enough. These stories that we hardwire into our mind, and then of course we're indoctrinated by society just to be very limited thinkers anyways. So you have to just claw your way out of what you've been taught. But if you struggle with deep-rooted thoughts around unworthiness with your goals, it will be very hard to break out of procrastination. In my book, The Fearless Executive, this talks about how to control your emotions and implement life-changing actions, because your thoughts generate your emotions. So if your emotion is, I'm unworthy, or excuse me, your thought is, I'm unworthy, typically that looks like I can't do this. Generates an emotion of sadness, anger, whatever, which leads to lack of action. And so I'm sorry, the last person that put a remark in there, to your point, the reason that generates stress is because it signals, I'm not a neuroscientist. Okay. I've just geeked out on enough of this information. There's free information all over the internet about this, but when you're in the fight or flight, struggling with negative thought patterns, it literally triggers hormones and stress responses, excuse me. So you'll have increased heart rate, you'll have tummy aches, you'll have loss of sleep, you'll have what's described as high anxiety because your thoughts have gotten the best of you. And of course, when you're in that state, you're going to be in full on paralysis, and stuck in procrastination. So, I've been there. I was caught in that loop for most of my adult life. It's absolutely crippling. Nothing good comes of it. That's why I was able to write a book on it. And so if that's you, definitely get some good information. It's a super easy read and it can help you overcome some of this, and just make yourself a promise like, hey, today I'm going to get curious about my thoughts. Are they good for me? Because you do have to accept and take responsibility that you are responsible for choosing your thoughts. Our brain is not trustworthy, okay? So you have to be very aware that you get to choose your thoughts. And so that's why I brought up the story earlier of like, if you're saying, I'm a procrastinator and it, really serves me, or I'm a procrastinator. Those are thoughts you even want to dissect, because you want to change that to probably I procrastinate sometimes, or maybe I have procrastinated in the past. Try not to identify with things too much. And you don't want to be in a deep emotionally, turmoiled state.
So we have two from the audience. We have, Vinod says, I always relate procrastination with laziness. And then we have another from Shireen. Thank you, Shireen. She says, I associate my procrastination with self-doubt. Hey, follow me for a sec, because this is going to help you so much, okay? Because I'm gonna break this down. So one said laziness, like I relate procrastination to laziness. The other said I kind of relate it to self-doubt. Now remember, follow me for a sec, okay? Be strong on your purpose. Remember my number one thing. Why do you want this? Because here's why. Forget laziness and forget self-doubt. Let's say this, Kristina, maybe it's when we talk about like procrastination, okay? Think about this. If you're strong on your purpose, I'm going to give you an example, okay? I was just diagnosed with some type of medical something, and if I didn't get my act together, right, and live a more healthier life, and if I didn't diet and exercise, let's just go way out there and say it could be fatal, right? Guys, I have a strong purpose now. Can we all agree? I have a strong purpose. I have a strong purpose to diet and exercise. Like, it's not about being lazy. It's not about doubting myself. So if you think you're procrastinating on something, here's the good news. Maybe you don't want it. Right?
Or maybe it's just low on the priorities at that time. Or it's just
low on the priorities, right? We're talking about things that you really do want to accomplish. So maybe the self-doubt or the laziness, right? Do you really want it? And it's when people say, yeah, why? Why do you want it? Why else? How is this going to positively impact my life? What are some of the things that are going to happen if I don't take action in this? This is where people struggle. They're not strong on a purpose, so they procrastinate. And maybe they do want it, but they haven't actually laid out like why it's important, right? What happens if I don't do this? And all of these reasons. So that's what I think. Right.
Would you say at any given time in your life you've associated procrastination with laziness? I know I have. And you've been tough on me about it sometimes.
Yeah, well, I'll have one. I can relate with Chelsea when I was doing my MBA and my undergrad. And I'm going to make an overgeneralization and say I think a lot of people wait till the last minute, because it's one of those things where there's levels to purpose. Did I want to get my MBA with an executive leadership from a top tier school? Absolutely, right?
Well,
but with my purpose, it was like I wanted the certificate. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like really exciting. It's one of those things where I think when we talk about procrastination, it's like I knew I had to get it done, right? So again, it's like I feel like the purpose level is going to apply with procrastination, because I think if you really want something and you'll do everything you can to achieve it, your purpose is going to be really high. You're probably not going to procrastinate. Okay. But if it's like, I want my degree, it'd be nice, but I want the certificate. I'm just going to wait till the last minute. I can see why people do that with things that are not really important to them.
And you wanted it mainly because of your military career, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, and I just wanted a flagpole in the road. We call them flagpoles in the road, right? Just like another stick, right? Like, hey, I got this certification on the end of my name, right? Hey, I went to this class. I've been featured in this magazine. Because I want to build a wall of undeniable proof.
Yep. So maybe you guys need to like take a step back and create a mission statement for your life, define some core values, and anything that you're working on that doesn't really support that mission, or if it's not in alignment with your core values or your top priorities, maybe you need to drop that for now, instead of beating yourself up for not getting those things done. Because you're right. When people ask me like, oh, Kristina, what keeps you going? Or how do you go from a podcast to a coaching session with the client? How are you doing all of this? And it's because of the mission and then repetition. Mm-hmm. So, mission over everything. That's what Tim is talking about with purpose. I don't think humans really don't push themselves unless there's a strong purpose, working toward what are the three: contribution, experience, growth. Those are the things that humans really, really need to thrive. And so let's just say, you've got your fitness goals and your career goals and your family goals. If you've got a whole list of other things that you're beating yourself up on, maybe they just don't even need to be on the list right now.
Well, that's another thing. A lot of people, this is like number 2, because Dr. Ford, hello, Dr. Ford. Hope you're doing well. How do you not overload yourself by putting too much on yourself? I want to write my book on leadership, get a CTO position, start a business with my wife. Hey, all these things are great, right? So number 1, I feel like there are a lot of people out there that really do want to achieve this, right? So
well,
it's like he's strong on his purpose. But the problem is this. You got to go to step 2, ladies and gentlemen, because being strong on your purpose does not mean everything magically happens, right? Once we're strong on why we want to write a book, why we want to get a new position, why we want to start a business, hey, you're strong on your purpose. Great. What's step 2? Now we have to develop a plan. And then what is step 3? Then we need to put a time limit on it and work our way backward. So it's like, remember, having a purpose is not just going to make all of your dreams come true. We still have to have a plan, and there still has to be a time to target.
Do you guys want to write a book? Drop it in the chat if you do, because there's a study put out. I want to say it was Harvard, where they said like almost 100% of people want to write a book, but it's like 98% of people never do. Like the people who really, really want to write a book, they never do.
And the most qualified people to write a book are the audience listening.
Right. You guys, there's a lot of writing coaches out there. There's a lot of publishing companies that help you go through the process. So you come up with, hey, what's the title? What's the mission and purpose of the book? And then breaking down your chapters, and then, accountability, like, okay, chapter this week, checking in, how's it going? And then really help you with clear messaging. I didn't do this alone. This is a product of a coach, an amazing publishing company, Dream Starters Publishing, with Mike Fallett. He's incredible. I think he's on like his 400th book or something, 400th best-selling book. This is a product of that. Okay. The help. This is a product of Tim pushing me to do it. Mine came out like almost 3 months after him. And he really helped me over the finish line. This is a product of having systems in place in my life to have support in general, and also a product of my great marketing team to help me push it out to the world. So it's rare that you see people with big, big achievements. And I know we're talking about a book right now, but if you're talking about marathon runners, if you're talking about top executives, these people, when you watch them and you look at them, there are people around them. The best athletes, there are people around them. It is rare that anybody is achieving these things alone. And the sooner you learn that lesson, you'll also stop wasting a lot of time. You need people. You need an army of advocates, and you need to watch who you're letting into your world.
Yeah, and when you get to once you're strong on your purpose, I just saw a video yesterday, guy. Can you believe this? A guy who is building a house from scratch off of YouTube videos.
Wow.
And the reason I brought this up is because when we talk about the planning piece, you want to break it down just as simple as you can. Just like you said, what's the title? Where the chapters, just breaking it down. And he did he made this video of like, everyone's like, you can't do that. You can't do that. And he was like, yeah, you can. Because if you break down the problems you have into the lowest levels you can, right? There's information out there to help you, right? There is information out there to help you. Kristina, I want to go over one more thing as we're wrapping up here. Hey, so why do we procrastinate, right? Even though procrastination results in more stress in the long term, people may delay it, right? Because they feel better in the short term. Remember that.
And what that looks like is, do something really simple. You have laundry to do. And you put it off all day Saturday and you turn on your show on Netflix instead. Mm-hmm. So that's delayed gratification. Like you want to be comfortable. You want to stay in your comfort zone. You don't want to do the thing. And so if you're somebody who's really prone to doing that, you want to watch that because the more you do it, the more you're telling your brain that that's what you'll continue to do and that you can't trust yourself to keep your promises. You said you're going to do the laundry, do the flipping laundry. Don't be looking for comfort and delayed gratification everywhere you can get it, or you'll be a loser.
Mm-hmm. That's what actually I was going into next. So thank you for one of the many.
You're welcome.
Because you have to know. You have to know, why do you procrastinate in the first place? Remember, the more you understand the word, the more you understand the impact, the more you understand how to overcome it, and the more you understand about it, right? So let's talk about why people procrastinate. Hey, they're feeling bored. They have a lack of belief or self-doubts, as we mentioned a viewer, right? They have fear and anxiety, right? They have perfectionism, distraction, right? So those are the big proponents of why we procrastinate in the first place. So become aware of what it means, what's all involved, hey, and how do I avoid it? Because if not, you will get stuck in these negative thought loops, right? And you won't get anything done. Then you'll be 80 years old with your spouse, hopefully, and then you'll be having some coffee saying, you know what, Kristina, I wish we would have done this. I wish we would have built this company. I wish we would have traveled more. I wish we would have spent more time with the kid. I don't know what it'll be for you, but I guarantee you, hey, figure this out, because you don't want to be old worrying about this stuff.
You want to know the only thing that I'm going to regret, or that I hope this is my story. The only thing I'm going to regret is the time I spent procrastinating. Mm-hmm. That is so far in my life the only regret. And if you would have asked me a few years ago, I'd be like, oh, I don't have any regrets, whatever. What I've been through makes me who I am. And that's a very immature way to think. I feel like the things that I regret are the things I didn't do. The time I wasted, talking negatively to myself, the time I wasted in toxic relationships, the time I wasted on alcohol, the time I wasted on mindless activities. And at the end of my road, and I hope I can say that I only wasted 10 years on that. I hope that's it. But some people go a lot longer, and it's sad. And that's why you hear us every single week talking about this. And I know some of you tune in sometimes and you're like, man, I wish that they were just telling me exactly where to go to get my job. And I wish that, they could just solve my problem on this podcast. But we're talking about the keys to freedom and how to get those things through controlling your mind, controlling your emotion, and controlling your time.
That was the last thing I was going to say.
Wow. I'm see this? I'm predicting.
Have a habit-based system. You live off habits. You live off routines, and you live off rituals. Change your habits, change your routines, change your rituals, and you will change your life. And that's exactly what, I might say this wrong. How would you say that name, Kristina?
I just missed it. Oh,
Giotti?
I'm not even going to try to butcher that name.
I'm so sorry, but it says the distraction is I'm dealing with. It's basically, hey,
distraction.
The inputs, right? So we have another person who knows that the inputs into the thoughts, right, are going to determine those outputs and how you deal with them.
Here's the number one way to battle distractions. Look at the times of the day that you are distracted. By the way, this just came from billionaire Elena Cardone. So it has to work, right? Can you imagine the amount of distractions she deals with? Look at the times of day that you're feeling distracted. I literally mapped this out. It was like 10, 2, and 7. It's like, okay, what are you doing during those times? okay, maybe I'm on Instagram, maybe I'm at lunch, or maybe a relative called or something. And something chaotic kind of stems from there. You know what I mean? You let your mind go into something useless on the internet. You take on drama from the family. Maybe you start worrying about something. So you have to now replace those things with something new and useful. That is the quickest way to quiet the noise. Because if you don't, then you're just a drifter. Like you're just going to drift through your day. So for me, what did I do for like my 8 p.m. thing last night? I was like, okay, this might sound silly to you guys, but I was like, I'm going to take a bubble bath. I'm going to do my red light therapy. I'm going to meditate and stretch. Before you knew it, wow, I got like the best night's sleep. Okay. Cause I'm not going to be distracted by other things. And those are my goals. For the 2 o'clock time, same thing. If I'm getting online to upload some content, don't go and doom scroll. Maybe produce an extra piece of content that keeps you busy. It's useful things. The morning one quickly became my planner thing. So it's like, when are you most distracted? What's happening during that time? And what can you immediately plug in and do differently? Because until you do something different, there's no solution. You will always be the person that is distracted and ineffective.
Take a lot of notes. There's a lot of stuff to learn.
And it's almost all so simple that it's easy to miss. I mean, guys, this stuff is so simple, but it's so simple that it's easy to miss. It's like, hello, duh. Of course I should plug in something different during the time that I'm distracted. Also, you have to be willing to sacrifice. Okay. When we're talking about procrastination and putting off your goals, what are you willing to give up? Like, what are you willing to give up in order to achieve these things? It's going to look like a lot of freaking sacrifice. If you're talking about being a top, it was a Dr. Ford CTO. Mm-hmm. Okay. If you want to be a top CTO, you want to publish a book, you want to have an amazing network, you want to have impact, you want to start that company, you want to travel, what are you going to be willing to sacrifice? It's going to look like sacrificing time. It's going to look like sacrificing friendships. It's going to look like sacrificing these bad habits that lead you to comfort. What are the things that are distracting you? These are the things that got to go if you want to optimize yourself as a human. This is my favorite topic. I could talk about it forever. But if you're listening, you're like, well, shoot, like I haven't sacrificed anything. Well, that's why you're procrastinating and distracted and not and that's it. So
yeah. So we're going to start wrapping up now. So Anthony, here's what I got. Hey, it's never too late to start a different career path. And most of the time, it's not even a whole different path, right? You have transferable skills that could lead to other industries and other positions. I guarantee you. So anyone who's looking for help in their career, go on over to execupgrades.com/podcast. And Kelly, yes, I have that in my office. Actually, it says nothing changes if nothing changes, right? So if you've been unable to conquer something on your own in your career, hey, please schedule a call at execupgrades.com/podcast. If it's something else, hey, get with someone who can support you. Until next week, have a great day, everyone.
Bye.